We're going for the first astrophoto of the year with equipment that you wouldn't expect. Well, the truth is that we didn't expect this, neither you nor I are, on January 2nd. And what I have set up here is an OM1 Mark II, along with an Olympus 150-400 f4.5, one of the most powerful telephoto lenses from Olympus. And with this equipment, I'm going to do the first astrophotography session of this year, 2025. And you might be wondering how this equipment came to be. I've switched to Olympus. I've bought this equipment. It was lent to me. The brand, well, actually it's all much simpler than it might seem. And it's that Olympus contacted me some time ago and offered me the chance to try out their equipment without any kind of compensation and without any kind of connection to the brand. That is to say, I have no agreement with them, and I'm completely free to say whatever I think about their cameras and lenses, at least the set of lenses they sent me. And I was really eager to try it out. This lens, this telephoto lens, which, as I said, is one of the most powerful that Olympus has for an astrophotography session, and this telephoto lens is usually only available to those who have access to it because it is not a telephoto lens, which is precisely inexpensive. They do it to focus on the professional world and, well, life. I don't know if anyone has tested this equipment for astrophotography, but I'm going to do it tonight. Also, we have here the OM1 Mark II, one of the latest cameras from OM system. And what we're going to do is photograph the Orion Nebula. A nebula that may seem simple, but it's anything but easy because it's the brightest nebula in the night sky. And this means that many times, in order to photograph it with the full range of colors and the dynamic range that this nebula offers us, we need to apply HDR technique, but that's not what I'm going to do in this session. I'm going to take some shots, and let's see if the OM1 Mark II, it gives us the dynamic range that we would need or expect in an astrophotography session with bright objects like this one. Well, I have to say that even though I was fiddling around with the camera at home, it took me a little while to get the hang of it. Here in the field, I've managed to get a handle on it, but I have a pretty clear idea now. Here we have a feature that I was really eager to try out on the Olympus, which is the autofocus function. On a starry night, it is automatic autofocus on the stars. When I activate it, here we have the autofocus button. And if I press it, what the camera does is start a sort of focusing routine where it detects the stars, and it's focusing little by little. What I'm going to do is take a shot. Let's see. I'm going to set a good delay. 12 seconds of delay to avoid any kind of shake. Because we're shooting at 400 millimeters with a crop factor of 2, since this camera is micro four thirds. That is to say, we're shooting at an effective focal length of 800 millimeters, and that's really high for handling the equipment. Well, here we have the shot. And it doesn't look bad. The stars show some trails, which is something that's normal, because as I said, I'm shooting at a pretty high focal length. 800 millimeters with the Venro Polaris, which is not a mount particularly suited for such high focal lengths, and a 1-minute exposure. So what I think I'm going to do is lower the exposure to 30 seconds. I'm going to increase the sensitivity and I'm going to start a sequence to try to get a photo from this session. Well, good things and bad things throughout this session. The camera's built-in intervalometer has disconnected on me twice. I don't know why. I set the intervalometer for 400 photos but stopped at 43 due to disconnection. Suspecting hibernation, I disabled settings and monitored, but it disconnected again. But I say, well, I stop the camera when I consider that I have enough photographs for the integration that I want to do, and that's it. And I found that the camera had taken approximately 43 photos to be exact, and the interval meter had been disconnected. I thought that the camera had gone into hibernation, something that in principle it shouldn't do if it was shooting the integrated interval meter. But what I did was go into the camera's hibernation settings, and I disconnected everything. I reconfigured the interval meter, and in this case, was watching from the car to make sure the screen didn't turn off, that the camera didn't go into hibernation again. But again, what happened is that when it reached 43 photos, the intervalometer disconnected again. Because, well, I have no idea. So Olympus users, OM system users, if you know why this is happening to me, please tell me in the comments below. I also found the night vision setting on this camera, something I had already seen working, and which is truly spectacular. It allows us to see in night photography conditions, astrophotography, and the Milky Way. It lets us see in real time, with an amazing level of detail, what we're framing and what we're photographing. It reminds me a lot of this system that they also have on Sony, that allow us to see in real time to frame at night, the framing that we are making with the Milky Way, even in astrophotography. But I would say that this system from Olympus, from OM system, gives us even a higher level of detail. And well, not much more to say. In the end, I managed to capture just over an hour of integration shots of the Orion Nebula. Obviously, my goal tonight wasn't to get the best photograph of the Orion Nebula that I have in my collection. The goal tonight was to test this camera, the OM1 Mark II, with this lens, the Olympus 150 400mm f4.5, which is one of the most powerful lenses the brand has, and to start getting a bit familiar with this system. But I can tell you that this won't be the only content that comes to the channel with this camera and the lineup of lenses that Olympus has sent me. We're going to have more content on macro photography and night photography. But until those contents arrive, I'll leave you with the results from tonight.